This is the reflection of one student assigned to work in a group for a whole semester. Find out what happens when teamwork's involved. This semester, I was involved with 2 pair partnerships to complete lab assignments that we were given weekly, and as well as one group of 4 on the assignment of the Fury of Dracula, which we had to till the end of the semester. The types of teamwork I was involved in were traditional, but also at times virtual, especially with the Fury of Dracula group. We never met as a group in a whole in person. The majority of the project was communication was done via Facebook, which was a new aspect that I had to get used to, of it being very virtual. But overall, all of the type of teamwork that we had was problem solving teamwork.
Me and Shanae, we kind of like we split up the workload between us, and we also like worked the concepts out. That was together. The biggest teamwork part, because the strategies are kind of complex ideas, and when you have 2 people working on them, you can kind of like bounce ideas back and forth off each other and figure out what's gonna work, and then once you've made the strategy, then you just break up the work to code it out.
For lab task and the requirements of the project, me and Jackson would meet up inside and outside of class hours in the lab to lay down a foundation of a strategy of how to approach these given problems. Coming up with this strategy allowed us to develop an appropriate data structure and algorithm for that given problem, knowing basically the objective of the program and what we were given, and where we were trying to go. That led us to come up with some kind of foundation program which we can start off of and build to make a more effective program in the end. For instance, when coming up with the Hunter AI, the objective was to beat Dracula. So we thought of ways of how can we make sure that the hunters are still healthy, and how can we, trap Dracula, and what would be the best way to attack this problem. And then we moved on from there. I contributed to the teams I was involved with by, collectively coming together with my lab partner and my assignment partner, specifically Jackson, and coming up with strategies of how to deal with the problem that we were given, or come up with, the AI for the Hunter and Dracula, and basically helped actually program the code for the AI for the Hunter. I came up with some test cases in the beginning for the program, when we had to do part 1 of the assignment.
Shanae, okay, strengths, work pretty well together, pretty chill group, you know what I mean, like, we don't really have conflict, so I guess that's been pretty good about it.
By 9, out when the deadlines are met. Check it! We code hard in these cubicles. My style's nerd chic, I'm a programming freak. We code hard in these cubicles. Only 2 hours till your deadline, don't sweat my technique. Sipping morning coffee with that Java swirl. Born to code, my first words were hello world. Since 9 to 5, been Java coding, staying proud. Started on floppy disk, now we take it to the cloud. I'm Inheriting a project can make me go berserk. Ain't got 4 hours to transfer their framework. The cleaners killed the lights. Man, that ain't nice. Gonna knock this program out like Kimbo Slice. I program all night, just like a champ. Look alive under this IKEA lamp. I code harder in the midnight hour. E7 on the vending machine fuels my power. Code hard in these cubicles. It's the core component of what we implement. We code hard in these cubicles. Straight to your Java runtime environment. We code hard in these cubicles. Keep the syntax light and the algorithm tight.
I encountered personally, or we encountered as a group collectively, were communication, especially with all of our communication solely being over Facebook, and never having meetings in person, or basically seeing how it was going. It was hard for us to communicate well what needed to be done, who was doing what, when was it due, and in general, we weren't able to, once everyone did their part, bring it together cohesively as a group. But personally, I definitely dealt more with problems with external circumstances affecting my project management. I, had other prior, I had a lot of prior, I guess, things that I told my group about. And basically how we worked it out was basically being honest about my limitations and what I was able to do and what I wasn't able to do, and making sure we knew and we were able to still get the work done. Here is some evidence shown in the Facebook group chat that show the lack of communication, miscommunication, shows the limitations of my external circumstances, and how some roles were changed. What I would do differently and how I approach teamwork in the future is definitely having my group, especially when it comes to programming, come together in the beginning, and basically come up with a plan. Make sure that everybody clearly understands their roles and responsibilities in this group. So we know everybody's strengths, their weaknesses, when it comes to programming or as a person as well, because that definitely affects the group dynamic. But know their strengths, their weaknesses, and their limitations, and then assign roles accordingly, and make sure that everyone knows their responsibility. I would definitely, it's critical to make sure that we have a good project management in place. So making sure once we do give everybody their assigned parts of the project, we meet together, and we're able to make sure everybody's on track, holding each other accountable for the work, and just making sure it's done in a timely fashion. So basically, project management, setting those deadlines, meeting weekly, and setting action items of what needs to be done, and making sure that we're able to also set a standard between everybody in the group. As programmers, everybody programs differently, but we need to have a standard if we're going to bring it together. If we're not team programming everything, we need to have a standard so that when we go to put everything together as a program, it's cohesive, and the integration process doesn't really take that long. Um, but for the most part, I would really focus on communication. I know in this group I really wasn't that strong confidence in my skills, but even with not having that confidence in the skill set that I had to work with, I feel as though I can bring other things to the table to keep us on track for the project. Because there are a ton of roles and responsibilities in the real world when it comes to um, the programming world and